Hi, second graders. So, tomorrow is a special day for all people who live in the United States of America. And it's so special that we actually don't have school so that people can do this thing. Sometimes we do have school, sometimes we don't. But this year we do not have school. And I want you guys to know why and what is happening tomorrow. Tomorrow is election day. So you're going to notice adults, people who are older, going and voting. So we're going to talk about what is election day, what do you do when you go and vote, and what does that mean? So I thought to teach us about that, we would read a book. Now, as I read, I want you to be thinking about two things because these are the two things you're going to have to answer once we finish the book. But be thinking about it as I read so you have an answer to give. So one, look for what age do you have to be? How old do you have to be to vote? Okay? So look for that. Then I also want you to look for why is it important to vote? So how old do you have to be? And why is it important to vote? So be listening for those two things as I read this book, okay? So this book is called Being an Active Citizen. And really the big title says voting. So we're going to learn about the right to vote. Voters have a choice. Election day, like I said, tomorrow is election day. We're going to learn about taking action. And then there's a glossary and whatnot. But let's get started. So the right to vote. The United States is a democracy. This means we elect our leaders. When it says we elect our leaders, it means the people who are in charge, we get to pick them. They're not just random, we get to choose. And that's what it means by we vote. When you vote, you're getting to say, I want this leader to be my leader, or this person to be my leader. I want this person to be in charge. And then everybody makes a choice of who they want to be in charge. And then once it's done and all collected, they read all the votes and count them and see, okay, this person is the most wanted leader. They're going to be the next leader. So we vote. What leaders do we elect? There's a ton of leaders that we elect, not just the president. Even though it is a presidential election day tomorrow, so that means we are going to pick the president tomorrow. But that's not the only people that we get to pick when we do elections. We can pick town council members, so those are in the towns that we live in, mayors, which are in the city we live in, governors, which are in the state that we live in. There are judges and representatives and senators, and we even vote for the president. So here it shows President Obama when he won, and he was the president, right? Now, all legal citizens can vote. Listen closely. This is a clue. Listen closely. They must be at least 18 years old. That should be a little thing in your head. How old do you have to be? So let me read it one more time. All legal citizens can vote. They must be at least 18 years old. But it hasn't always been this way. So I'm going to pause right there real quick. I want us to look at this word legal citizens. Legal citizens are people who are documented as a part of the United States. So there's this paperwork that they have to do, and if you ask the government, they would have you in their system. They'd say, yep, you live here and you are a citizen. But there are some people who live here who are undocumented. So that means the government doesn't know they're here. They're just here. And if you are undocumented, unfortunately, right now you're not allowed to vote. Right? If I was undocumented, I would not be allowed to vote. So you might hear a lot of people who are undocumented say, hey, you need to vote because I can't. So you need to make sure that you vote for them almost, or just like because they can't, they want you to make sure that you do vote so that you have that right. So, yes, you have to be a legal citizen to vote, and you have to be 18 years old at least. Then it says, in U.S. history, many people had to fight for the right to vote. That means when the United States started, not everyone was able to vote. At first, it was just a small group of people that they said, you're allowed to vote. And then as years went on, people kept fighting and fighting and saying, hey, that's not fair. I should be able to vote. I live here. This affects me too. So this is, it says, African Americans protested against unfair voting laws for 100 years. That's how long they were fighting before they got the right to vote. So you can see people marching and protesting saying, we demand voting rights now. They're saying, hey, we should be able to vote. And now African Americans can vote. Yes, they fought, and that's something that they got the right to do because it is their right. Everyone should be able to vote. Not just African Americans couldn't vote, women weren't allowed. So if I had lived back in the day, I would not have been able to vote. That would have been so sad. But thank goodness people fought. And it says women also fought for the right to vote. In 1920, the 19th Amendment passed. That means like a new rule was passed. And it said that people could not be denied the right to vote because of their gender. So no one could say, no, you can't vote because you're a girl. No, that's not allowed anymore. So that changed. Voters have a voice. Voting is a privilege. It's something that we get to do. In many countries, citizens cannot vote. Rulers make a decision they want. They control the lives of the citizens. Our founders wrote the U.S. Constitution in 1787 to make sure this wouldn't happen. So unlike other countries, some countries, we do get to vote. So it's a privilege. It's something that not everybody gets to vote to see who their leader is. But our country does, so we need to take advantage. We must make our voices heard. One way is peaceful protest. So this girl's protesting saying, save the earth. Another way is to show up on election day. Voting is not a law, but it is a responsibility. It's how we make change in our towns, cities, states, and countries. So these people are all out voting. They're deciding who do they want to be their leaders. And if you heard, it's not a law, so you don't have to go vote, but it's saying it's a responsibility. So you should go out and vote if you're old enough because you are deciding what's going to happen. And then this is like a sample ballot. You can see a sample ballot can be found online before an election. You can use it to research candidates. You can even bring it with you to help you remember who to vote for. Take a look at this sample ballot. A ballot is how you vote. It's like a piece of paper where you write your answers of who you want to be your leaders. That's where you pick. How do we know who to vote for? We study the candidates, so you figure out who are these leaders that we have to choose from, and you decide. You can visit their website, you can read newspaper articles about them, you can talk to friends or family or relatives. You can even watch these things called debates. Maybe your family watched the debates. What issues are important to you? Do you agree with what the candidates say about them? So you have to listen to all these things and make a good decision. Who do I want to vote for? And who matches the things that I believe and I think? Election day. It is election day. Workers arrive at the polling places early. A polling place is where people go and vote. They turn on computers, they stack ballots. Do they have enough pens? Everything must be ready when voters arrive. Voters line up, they check in. Is the voter a legal citizen? Is the voter at least 18? If yes, the voter gets a ballot. So they have to check in before they can go vote in their little space. After receiving a ballot, a voter must enter a booth or sit at a table. Voting is private. So you can't show people who you're voting for. You don't say it out loud. People can't come look. You're in there by yourself. It's a private thing. When the voter is done filling out the ballot, it goes into a machine. The machine helps count the votes. The voter must take an I voted sticker, or the voter might take an I voted sticker. So look out for people who have stickers tomorrow to see who voted. At the end of the day, the votes are counted. They are all added to the votes from the other areas. All votes are equal. The majority of votes wins. We have a new leader. So like I said, after everybody votes, they count up all the votes, and then it picks who is the leader. Making our voices heard through voting is an important duty of active citizens. It keeps our democracy working. And that is the end. So I really want you guys to think, why is it important to vote? I hope you heard in the video, how old you had to be. If not, try to go back in my video to see how old you have to be. But now you need to think why. Why is it important to vote? Think about what it does when you vote. And I want you to go ahead and go on to Seesaw. You can either use the notepad or you can make a video to tell me those two things. How old do you have to be to vote, and why is it important? Okay, guys? I can't wait to see your answers. And also, encourage your family. Say, hey, it's voting day tomorrow. Make sure you go and vote. All right? Some of your families might have already voted because there's something called early voting. So it's okay if they already have. You can say, nice job, you voted. And encourage them tomorrow too. If they go and vote, say, yay, you voted. You made your voice heard. And you're changing and deciding what's going to happen in our country. Who's going to be our leaders? All right, guys, have a fantastic day. Celebrate voting day with your family, and make sure to finish your assignment on Seesaw.